Thanks for joining us today for the second episode of The Digital Source. Today we're talking about TikTok and everything to do with the retail space and how TikTok is making such an impact. Now, I'm delighted to be joined here by Ben Muir and Barney Wharf from TikTok and from an agency called Unsociable that specialises in TikTok.
Thank you very much for having me today here, Ed, and excited to be on your show. I used to run a content marketing business that focused mostly on like Instagram and Facebook and YouTube Shorts. We'd heard about this emerging channel called TikTok, and all of my team were using it and they loved it. I myself hadn't used it yet, but we knew it was going to become a big thing, so we're like, let's try that. But I didn't feel like we could justify like doing it with a client, so we're like, let's try it for ourselves, like see what kind of content we can produce and what we can get out of it. And through that, we really started to go viral on TikTok, so we offered it to our clients at the time as a service, and we ended up working with a few big businesses and doing TikTok for them.
You know, fantastic journey you've been on in only a couple of years really with Unsociable and the merchants you're working with. Obviously thanks to Barney and TikTok. Barney, tell us about your journey with TikTok so far and how it's grown and how important retail is for TikTok particularly.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me as well. Great to be here. I think I've been in the fast-moving consumer goods space, mostly on the brand side for the last 10 years. Took my first step into e-commerce, so I've been with TikTok for about a year and a half now. It's been great. It's fast-paced. It changes the whole time. I work in the operations team in the UK within FMCG. So we onboard brands from any stage of their kind of life cycle onto the platform, put together some growth strategies and try and grow them to being self-sustaining, profitable, growing merchants on the platform. The
point of today really is to talk to the retailers in the market and tell them why TikTok is such a phenomenon and why has it become so important to add into their marketing and their campaign activities on a monthly basis so they can reach more customers. But what is it? What sort of captures that kind of need to scroll? Why is it so addictive? What's so great about TikTok?
It's the algorithm.
Okay.
Mostly. There's been this transformation in content really that's happened over the past few years. Human beings on the whole have all this excess creative energy, and I think what happened was TikTok came along with the tools for anyone to become a really like talented creator.
Yeah.
Like they made it super easy to edit either in app or with CapCut.
Go back to what Ben says, the algorithm is so powerful, so it will pick up what your interests are. So if you're spending more time looking at beauty content, then you'll heavily be pushed beauty related creators and content and shop content that has an impulse to watch and stay on the video.
What's the sort of performance likely to look like if they put their products and their time and effort into TikTok?
It depends how successful you get in the different methods of generating sales on the platform. We're very heavily creator-led and content-led. So brands can come on and not invest into their content but perform really well through our shop tab or through creators. Or we do have brands come on and are very successful through their own self-made content, which obviously takes a bit more investment and time into it. But we have key trading periods like Black Friday, the most recent one being the spring sale. So we'll always suggest for merchants to offer their best pricing across these periods. But as a platform, we will offer subsidies as well to shoppers on the platform. So it might be in the form of a voucher where they can redeem that and then spend £20 and unlock an additional percentage off to try and increase sales for our sellers, but also save money for our users.
The platform is accessible to just about any seller who has a good product at a good price. You could go on there, you could either work with an AM or you could work yourself, work with affiliates, make sure you have decent listing on Shop Tab. You could do all of that yourself.
Okay.
But if you really want to take advantage of the platform, then you need all of the different elements to it. And that's what creates that kind of mass virality. So you have creators, you have your own content, you have live streams, which helps uplift everything else, and then ads as well. So you want to make sure you're using your ad spend wisely.
I think there's this assumption that merchants have that if they put products onto TikTok, it's only going to really reach like Gen Z or something. Is that true? Like what does the demographics look like? Maybe Barney, you can talk about the sort of demographics, the people that actually exist on TikTok and the shop particularly.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there's a real range depending on the brand and the products that you're selling. On shop, you've got to be 18 plus to purchase a product. But yeah, I think the large proportion of our shoppers probably sit between the 25 and 45 age group. Obviously, we're a creator, content, community-led platform. So depending on who you're shopping through, whether it's the brand, what their community is like, who their kind of typical demographic, that is who will be their viewers typically on the platform. But if you're selling through creators, which are such an important part of our platform, then their creator community and their customers and their viewers will be a large proportion of the demographic. So as a seller on the platform, you get a lot of insights into creator demographics and who's watching their content and your own demographics as well. So you can start tailoring the right sort of creators to your brand and building out that community on the platform.
You look poised to answer.
It's just such a common misconception.
Yeah.
It really is that TikTok's just for Gen Z. And I get it, because the way that TikTok was brought out as a platform, it was younger consumers that were using it at first, but now it's transitioned to all ages and demographics. 50% of TikTok's UK user base is over the age of 30.
Yeah.
But I guess that points to, you know, if a merchant's thinking about trying this as a channel, like, don't think that it's just about a certain demographic. Try it out, put your products onto TikTok and see how it goes, because you might just find you've got a really great niche of customers on that platform that are going to buy from you, and you can be one of the clearest voices talking about your product in that space. I mean, the shop has been a sort of fantastic success since it's been launched. What's changed? What's caused the shopping part of TikTok to be so successful over the last 12, 24 months?
It's changed a lot. I said earlier, we're quite an entrepreneurial, fast-paced business, which we have to be. And due to the very nature of that, it changes day in, day out, week in, week out. Ben will know that. We'll know this more than anyone. But yeah, I think just the longer the platform's been there, and the more users that are seeing shoppable content and taking it on board that's available on the platform. We've seen a big increase in the amount of creators doing affiliates. We've seen, you know, the onboarding of thousands of sellers onto the platform across all categories, including kind of key accounts as well. And the general kind of presence and understanding that TikTok isn't just a dancing app. It's somewhere where you can grow your brand, you can get your product into the hands of consumers quicker than most others. You can synchronize your content with ads and monetize it. It's got a lot to offer for brands, and I think that's slowly being taken up and appreciated by more and more businesses. Our customers are shopping through video, through understanding the product in a video context, where they get a lot more information, real life experiences from either brands directly, from creators that they may know and trust already, but maybe not. But because it's personal content, you kind of feel like you do trust that person. You know, if I'm purchasing a product that I didn't know about before, the number one reason I would purchase something would be through a family or friend who would recommend me something. And number two is probably through a bit of content like we have on TikTok Shop, where it's a creator who I've followed for a year and they've said this product's good and they're telling me about the benefits and why I should buy it. Then I'm much more likely to purchase that than a TV advert or a QVC style video. So I think it's a really interesting shift in kind of consumer trends and impulse purchases.
And I think for me, I think it's really interesting how video, and especially the live videos where you're seeing someone selling a product on a live feed, is just that little bit more authentic.
Yeah, I think authenticity is a great word. TikTok Shop, it stands on its own because it's fun. Because people are authentic and stuff feels real to shoppers. I think it's as close online as we could possibly have to that, to like that actual human interaction storefront experience.
That ability to have, you know, a threaded almost commentary going on with the live, that you've got people who have bought this product validating that it's great, or not, I guess, but, you know, reinforcing how good something is. That it's all about trust, isn't it, when it comes down to shopping through these social platforms.
Customers who love a brand, they genuinely want to like help other people realize that. So like we see it all the time. Like we give product recommendations to our friends and family. In the social commerce space, people are giving product recommendations to strangers because they love the brand and products. So they'll sit on lives, they'll tell people about the products that they liked and they'll recommend them to others, or they'll comment on a video and they'll say like, I tried this, I absolutely loved it. It's the same way of leaving a review on Amazon, except you get the real-time feedback that your review genuinely has helped the person.
Individuals who might not have any sort of following necessarily become a referred sort of source of a sale, but then they start to influence those sales. So it's starting to become, it's, you know, maybe breeding a new generation of influencers potentially.
Yeah, I think it definitely is. Ben touched on it earlier, like you don't have to have 200,000 followers to be successful on TikTok Shop. When I meet with brands, I try and urge them to be quite liberal with who they send samples out to, because someone who's got 3,000 followers can do just as much sales or as many sales as someone who's got 300,000. the platform rewards good quality content that people want to watch and people want to click the product and engage and potentially buy. And if you're a small creator and it's a good bit of content, then it will have the same amount of reach that someone else can have with 300,000. So I think that's what's great about the platform. That's what's breeding, such a growth in the creator community as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Does TikTok allow for automated commissions, for example, if you're using TikTok Shop to buy products? Can it fund those creators automatically?
Yes, it's all built into the platform.
Okay.
So as a seller, if you list your products on what we call the affiliate marketplace, you'd set up a plan which would be open to creators to request to be part of it. If they are, and you send a sample and a user makes a purchase of the creator's content, TikTok will take the funds from the user, and then it will whatever that commission rate's been set to, it will pass it on to the creator, and the rest goes to the seller.
You've got these tools, these different technologies. Like, is it just the sum of those parts that creates that kind of magic? What is the secret sauce? I mean, Ben, start off because you've grown up with TikTok, I guess.
If you can be authentic in your self-made content, if you can be like fun and genuinely engaging in your content, then you're much more likely to succeed. That's on the content element. On affiliates, which is the content creators who you work with, that's really the biggest driver of sales for most brands. Okay. And it's where you should probably start if you want to get some initial traction. If you want to scale things up, then lives is a huge driver of engagement, follower growth, and sales. Even if you're not generating a huge amount of sales on live at first, I would stick with it. Even if we do a live and it doesn't get as much sales as we were hoping for, we still see like a knock-on effect with the algorithm. So the products are pushed more like the day afterwards or even the same evening.
I think just being flexible enough to try all the different elements. So chucking some content out there, being personable and authentic, and trying to engage with your typical user base, because they will find you. The algorithm will find your community, and you'll start building it. Engaging with the creators, finding the right creators for your demographic initially, but being flexible to give samples to someone that you might not think would drive sales, because they absolutely might. You know your business better than anyone, so really understanding what your best products are. Can you be competitive and offer a good kind of promotion when you initially launch on the platform? Can you communicate that to the creators so they can sell that promotion for you? And that all becomes just one kind of organic snowball, because you can then use the creator content for ads. If they give you their Spark code, you can start, driving their content with some paid advertising. You can then create the content similar to theirs if that's what's performed well, and really double down on what kind of areas that you're having success in. Because if affiliates grow, the Shop tab will grow. If Shop tab grows, affiliates will grow, and your own content will grow.
One of the things people love about TikTok Shop, because it's a discovery platform, is novelty. There's a few different stories that are amazing, like of small businesses that have came through TikTok Shop. They've had like a store, and then they've used the platform to leverage online. They've ended up selling on other marketplaces, and now they're sold like everywhere, and they're these huge machines, which is really awesome. But the point I was going to make about novelty and exclusivity, both really important things on TikTok Shop. Those are ways to generate virality. So if TikTok Shop's the only place to buy it, that can help really increase things, which is why one of the things we're looking at is cross-border. With TikTok Shop as an exclusive platform, and then novelty as well. So if you've got something that people haven't seen before, which is why I think for bigger merchants, like new product development launches, TikTok Shop will be an awesome channel for them. If
you're a multi-brand retailer, is there still a place for you in TikTok? Is that a good place to start?
Yeah, so it's a crazy time really. It's like marketplaces selling on marketplaces. So like ASOS just launched on TikTok Shop a couple of weeks ago. Look Fantastic is a huge seller. Obviously they're all multi-brand retailers that are just taking to the platform for extra sales, extra exposure to their brand and their brands.
Barney, I want to talk a little bit from a platform perspective about the types of content that matter the most to the algorithm. Obviously no secrets for the algorithms, but let's get a sense of what retailers should be thinking about creating right from the start.
I always try and suggest to brands come onto the platform, just don't care too much about what you're putting on there. If you're sitting down and you're editing for 3 or 4 hours and you've taken another 2 hours to film the content, then it's probably not going to be very native to TikTok. We want personable, authentic content that people are getting the information that they need, if that's shoppable, about the product. But if it's not and it's more brand related, then what people want to know why you started the brand, what's the brand about, how's it benefiting them, is it
storytelling,
eco-friendly? Yeah, story time. you've got to have a hook at the start. It needs to be something to engage the user, because we want to get as much watch time as possible. You want to get someone to click the product, which is on the yellow tag below. So there's got to be typically a call to action there at some point, and a direction as well. So call to action could be the discount, it could be a benefit of the product, an ingredient. But yeah, there's got to be something that makes someone want to go and have a look at the product. Because you'd be amazed how many people don't do it. They'll talk about a brand and all the amazing stories and what it's doing, but they won't tell the user to do anything. When we're scrolling through 30 videos in 30 seconds, which people do on TikTok, something needs to capture the attention, and then you need to tell them what to do. And that could be color, it could be text on the screen, it could be you shouting, it could be silly little things. Yeah. But those work. So yeah, I'd always say to people, go back to the basics. Why does someone want to watch that video, and how can you get them to click that product? Because those are the two important things that you need to do to be successful.
The hook is by far and away the most important part of the video. Like, if you can't get someone to watch it, then that's not going to do anything. It will set on like 197 views for all of time.
Yeah, okay.
But if you want to capture audience attention, do something unusual in the first few seconds. But I think most brands, like sales is like top priority for almost every business it is. It's like the lifeblood of your business. But we all want to build sustainable businesses, right? We want to do things that capture an audience, that turn customers into lifelong fans. And an absolutely wonderful way of doing that with the technology we now have is through live stream shopping. There's sellers that are doing like 6-figure lives.
Amazing.
In terms of sales, but the effect that I really love about lives is that like human interaction. So one, you've got a face to your brand that you don't always get to have. That when you're on Amazon, you don't have a face to the brand. No one cares about a model in a picture with like holding something. Whereas when they learn the host's name, like one of my team, Eve, she started as a live stream presenter. We've since hired her full time, and when she was a live stream presenter, she had fans of Eve. She had genuine connections with users on the live, so much so that it created this community around the brand, and then people would come back for that. And brands can do this at scale now. Like, if you can get live streams with thousands and thousands of people on it, there's some amazing examples on TikTok Shop. You can look at brands like Made by Mitchell who do it on lives, or they get people to do lives for them. And that's what the forward-thinking brands of the 21st century are doing, and they're using what TikTok Shop gives them to enable them to be able to do that.
Go sort of smaller and let's try and capture all the merchants who want to do this. Is it a case of grab a phone, products, be in your store or your warehouse, whatever? Like, how simple can it be?
Yeah, it really can just be grab a phone, pop it against a candle, and sit in your kitchen and talk about a product that you've got listed on the shop, and you can sell it. We've got a really great seller on the platform. They're called Lancashire Lamb Boxes, and it was a shepherdess who had one video that went viral, and she started selling meat boxes direct from her farm to the public. She's been really successful in it, and she had no previous TikTok experience, no experience in content at all. She was a farmer and spent the whole time on the farm. I think if an extremely busy and underpaid British farmer can do it, if they can do it, anyone can do it, especially if you've got your own products.
Do you think that the other social media platforms are changing? Are they adapting to offer more TikTok style content? Like, how do you see that kind of competitive landscape, Barney?
I think they definitely are. We've seen the YouTube Shorts start to pick up a bit of momentum, which is a similar short form content model as TikTok. So the UK e-commerce, social commerce space is supposed to go to about 60 billion in 2026, currently about 30, so it's about due to double. So in terms of where we are now and the growth that we've seen, that's only just going to accelerate across the next 3 years.
Yeah, there's a term that's been used over the past couple of years, which I think represents the shift that TikTok's caused, but it's the TikTokification of everything.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is basically, before TikTok, vertical reels were a thing, but they were not hugely popular. They were not pushed by Instagram. They were not on Facebook at this point in time. Yeah. YouTube did not have shorts. Since TikTok has came on with that format and pushed it, you see more reels than you do static posts on Instagram, or at least you did until recently. Facebook Reels is a huge thing. YouTube Shorts is a huge thing. And almost every channel has some form of vertical short video from TikTok, bringing that to Western society, including Amazon recently launched like a vertical video page as well. And they're encouraging sellers to create vertical video content to go with their PDPs. So TikTok's had this huge impact, not just in that sense, but in how content's perceived. We talked earlier about like authenticity, and the term UGC has really rose to prominence from TikTok. There's just so many impacts that the platform's had because other platforms see the success it's had and they want to follow suit from that.
Yeah, so it really has become the leader in how to do things from a social commerce perspective, which has become so prominent.
Yes, exactly that.
Okay.
Yeah, from a reach perspective, if you're a brand and you're creating good content on TikTok, you can now recycle that across Instagram, across YouTube, across LinkedIn, Facebook.
What should brands be looking for when they think something might have become viral, or you're trying to make something viral on TikTok?
I don't know if there's any set parameters to it. I think if you looked back a few years ago at the social media space, viral was probably like a couple million views, but some of our brands, if you include the affiliate content, get hundreds of millions of views, and most of them get millions of views. So TikTok's really changed how we view that, because if you'd said to me like 2 years ago when I was in the social media space, like, yeah, you've worked with an influencer and you've posted some own brand content and you've got 1 million views, I would have been mind blown. And now that wouldn't be particularly successful. I would probably still call it viral though, because 1 million people have saw your content.
Yeah,
There's a lot of eyeballs. So it's a hard one to define now, but the bar has definitely been raised by what TikTok allows people to be able to do, and particularly like brands and creators.
I guess the reality is that not everyone can achieve that, depending on what they sell and who they reach and all that sort of stuff. So somewhere in the middle ground, you guys must offer all the tools to measure this stuff. And do you make recommendations about the content that's really successful from a starting out perspective, so that the brands and merchants can have a bit more of an indication of where they should go next?
Yeah, definitely. We work with brands, from initial onboarding status all the way up to kind of being self-sustainable. And we have lots of resources on the Seller Center Academy. We also got our own kind of internal resources that we can share with sellers in terms of like short video playbooks, live stream playbooks, and how to drive more traffic and try and have those viral moments. I think from a viral perspective, now that TikTok has a shop element to it, is really interesting, because it's not necessarily just about video views, it's about sales, and it's about number of content and how many creators have it. So we can see a product or a shop or a seller go viral on the platform, but they might not necessarily be getting tens of millions and hundreds of millions of views, but they might have 150 creators working with it. So there's 150 bits of content, and then you have the views from all those bits of content, and then as a result, that product's performing well. It's kind of like fans out. I think what is viral is changing the whole time. Depending what your goal is. If you want exposure, then it's views. If you want sales, then it's affiliate and shop.
That's the main thing, isn't it? It's not necessarily whether something can become viral or not. It's what is your goal as a business? Are you trying to create more visibility in your brand? Are you trying to get influencers? Are you trying to add a string to your bow in terms of social? I suppose if you can define those, then you can figure out what the context of virality looks like, I suppose.
Yeah, the results can be unbelievable for brands. Genuinely, like, we're at the start of something like truly incredible, a change in the way that people shop, and what TikTok's doing to enable merchants is just awesome. When you start to go viral, you'll see compounding effects on all your other channels. So we had a brand recently who launched in a UK supermarket chain because of the TikTok content.
Amazing.
The visibility that they got from that. We've had brands have their biggest month on Amazon after going viral on TikTok. And then we've had brands who have greatly increased their D2C website traffic and maintained it steadily as well. And that's all from the activity that's generated on TikTok Shop, because you're getting this huge wave of virality. It's creating more brand awareness, and then customers are seeing you elsewhere and they're choosing to buy from you elsewhere.
What are the kind of top 3 steps to getting into TikTok? So a merchant listening to this or watching this, they're like, we don't do this currently. Maybe they've got an account. What are the next steps?
It's really easy. As simple as, do you have a product to sell? Do you have an email address? And you can sign up as a personal or a corporate seller. So if you're a personal, you just need an ID. And if you're a corporate, you need a certificate of incorporation and an ID of a director of the company. And as long as you've got those things, then you can be online and selling within 24 hours. Sometimes that might be longer or slower depending on how many applications come through, but it's super quick.
And will they expect someone from TikTok to reach out? Is it very self-serve? What's the process?
Yeah, so we've got our own customer support teams, 24-hour support team that you can access through the Seller Center and in-app. But once you start generating sales on the platform and seeing some success, you'll be graduated through, or if you've got a contact initially of someone in the account manager team at TikTok, then we're always happy to help support sellers and put together kind of a strategic growth plan with you and drive you to have as much growth on the platform as you deserve to.
And start with content first or syncing products first?
Well, if you've already got an existing handle, great. You just bind that to your shop,
okay.
And then that becomes e-commerce. It allows you to push e-commerce content. You can push content now. It doesn't matter. You don't need a shop to do that. So get content started to be posted on your platform so people know who you are. And then once the shop's active, then we can start tagging products, getting samples to creators and making sure you've filled out your product descriptions and pictures and start generating some sales in the shop tab as well.
Okay, perfect. I'd love 2 kind of takeaways from both of you about how merchants can kind of capitalize on what we've seen as a sort of climb and rise in social commerce recently. Barney, let's start with you. Just two things that merchants should think about, maybe.
I'd harness the opportunities to engage directly with your consumers. Talked a lot about TikTok today, but any short form video platform allows you to talk directly to your customers, and that's what people want. They want to understand like the brands and who they are and what their products are and who they're for, and then they'll work out if it's for them or not.
Yeah.
I think the power of products is really obvious and evident in the social commerce space. It's social commerce, or social is content, but when you bring shoppable side into it, and we see this a lot on TikTok, is one product can have a massive impact on a business from a user growth point of view, follower point of view. It can, if we have time and time again, we have sellers who have one viral product and the sales grow rapidly, but then the rest of the shop grows, their follower count grows, their top 10 SKUs all grow, the PVs across the whole shop and all their products grow. So I think just the impact one area of social commerce can impact just the wider business, and back to what Ben said, other platforms as well.
Yeah.
Although we like to keep things on TikTok Shop.
Absolutely.
We've always, as marketers, bought attention from wherever eyeballs are, right? So like dating back to like hundreds of years ago, like people would pay premiums to be like the front market stall. Now, like when I go and visit my mum, she doesn't watch TV. She sits on TikTok all night. That's where her eyeballs are. When I see people in the streets, like they're usually not watching like TV on their phone. They're scrolling.
Yeah.
And it's where everyone's attention's focused. So naturally, that's where we want our products to be. And brands that aren't embracing social commerce yet, social media in general as a starting point, which I think most brands have, but there's still some like huge brands that don't do much on social. Why wouldn't you be? That seems crazy to me. But for social commerce, like you want your customers to be able to buy in the place that they're spending their time, and we spend our time on our phones. So that's like my biggest takeaway to remember. I'm super passionate about what I do, not just because I think that the world's literally changing around us and we've seen this seismic shift in e-commerce, the way people buy and sell, but because it's just really fun. Like genuinely, like I love my job. Like we have so much fun in our office. We have fun in the way that we interact with brands. Marketing isn't boring anymore. Like you have creative license to do what you want and say what you want, and the right brands and a lot of the brands that we partner with, they just totally get that, and they're like guys, you just go for it.
And we're an entertainment platform first and then shop second. And that's so important. And creativity, entertainment, people want to watch your content. That's vitally important.
So do you think social commerce is here to stay?
I do think social commerce is here to stay. I think every brand needs to become a content house in some capacity. The right brands are doing that, and because everyone's embracing it, consumer habits are changing, then there's no way social commerce is going away anytime soon.
100%, it's the future for sure. We can see that in the growth of TikTok Shop. I see it every day in the amount of sellers coming onto the platform, embracing what made it, the platform successful, and it's just going to keep going for sure.
So look, thank you very much, Ben. Thanks, Barney. It's been a great discussion. We've loved having you, and hope our merchants have also loved hearing from you guys.